Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. It's time for another breakfast with Blaha, and today I'm having, you guys guessed it, fat-free Greek yogurt and almond butter. Alright, speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about protein timing. And the thing is, when I say this, I don't want this to be interpreted as, oh, he said protein timing doesn't matter at all, and we could just do one protein feeding a day and do one meal a day and get ultra jacked. Because no, guys, you don't get big by doing fasting and one meal a day. All of that stuff reduces muscle growth. That strategies guys use to try to get really, really lean and stay there has its own set of problems. I've had plenty of clients who've dealt with these things and worked with some of these fasting type guys and have run into the problems that they create. It's not what I'm saying. I'm also not saying we ignore evidence. What I'm saying is people focus on minutia that doesn't matter instead of the important stuff, and they don't get results, and they actually ignore what the leading experts, evidence-based experts say. They actually completely ignore it and chase gurus and supplement stuff, thinking that they're being scientific, right? Perfect example, guys who obsess over getting their protein in immediately post-workout. I mean, if we didn't have research to know any better, and you were to just go to the gym and look at the size, the muscle mass of the guys who obsess with immediate post-workout recovery versus those who don't, and look at the different muscle size, you could conclude anecdotally that drinking a protein shake at the gym makes you smaller. I mean, if we were to go off anecdote instead of the real evidence, because it comes back over to people who obsess over stupid stuff are usually lazy and don't want to do the right stuff. They don't want to actually do the stuff that works. They're looking for shortcuts. That's the key. So they're going to be tiny and weak. But if we were to just go by that, really most of the bigger guys don't do that. And tons of skinny guys with no muscle do it. Worth noting. You know why? Because it doesn't matter. And no one has believed this for over a decade. The only people who are still pushing, as of the last 10 years, who are still pushing post-workout recovery shakes as having any benefit over just adding to your normal food for the day, are the people who sell them or who are bros who have completely ignored the science. This has all been debunked. I was making videos 8, 9, 10 years ago explaining the science of why it was debunked and explaining why the studies that showed benefits don't actually work in the real world. I was doing this a decade ago online. It's the norm. Again, all the best sports nutritionists and people like that who have serious credentials in those fields, they all agree it doesn't actually matter. And it's not even a case of, well, it might help a little. No, it really just doesn't seem to matter. You can wait 4 hours to get your protein in. And it can be a regular food meal, not a shake. There's no advantage to it. All right, these guys obsess over it, though. They obsess over protein timing. All right, I have to get this exact amount of protein in. I've got to figure out how much I can absorb in a sitting. I need to consume protein at this frequency. I need a certain leucine threshold. That's one that I saw for a while too. Really, guys? Or you could just eat a lot of protein and get 3 big meals of protein every day, spaced through the day, and not ever have to worry about it. As you know, when some of this stuff matters, when you don't get enough protein. If your protein intake is too low, if it is too low for optimal muscle growth and recovery, that's when this timing starts to really matter. Right? That's when leucine threshold really matters. Are you guys eating 80 grams of protein a day? Is that what you're eating? Then you don't need to worry about these things. The minimum threshold for maximizing muscle growth is 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. So for a guy like me who walks around about 220, about 100 kg, that's 160 grams. I eat more than that. I eat way more than that. Most people do who are serious about lifting. Well, except these skinny guys who are obsessing over it usually. They're usually not eating enough of anything. That's why they're skinny. They're under eating because they're convinced that if they use some biohack with perfect timing, they'll gain a bunch of muscle without having to gain body weight, without a calorie surplus. Yeah, that doesn't work. And guess what? Their workouts tend to be equally lazy. Their workouts are equally lazy. I train hard, man. I do 6 different types of curls. I run the rack and do triple drop sets. Yeah, and I know guys with bigger biceps than you who don't do any curls. What does that tell you? And by the way, I'm not anti-curl. I do curls. I don't have good bicep genetics. I got to do everything. So that's not training hard. Not training smart. It's training stupid, and it's training lazy, pretending that you're training hard. Training hard is getting under a big heavy weight. Now, when I say get under a big heavy weight, I didn't necessarily say to max out. To get under a big heavy weight and do a lot of reps with it. Heavy being relative. Okay, that's training hard. Doing it with appropriate volumes, frequency, recovering. We come back over to that other thing. These guys are oftentimes so obsessed with this minutia that their diet still sucks. Like you see this weird obsession with protein timing from guys who can't be bothered to eat enough fruits and vegetables. Right? They can't even be bothered to eat enough fruits and vegetables to give them proper recovery. They can't even be bothered to eat enough calories to gain muscle and to recover from their training. Therefore, they're not creating the environment to build muscle. They're not creating the environment to recover from actually true hard training either, so they do lazy training and pretend it's hard. I'm sorry, guys, there is nothing hard, remotely difficult about doing single joint exercises to failure. It's not hard. It's not difficult. Go tell that to someone who doesn't come in and do heavy ass sets of 10 on squats and deadlifts or weighted chins and benching and stuff like I do. And then I do my supplemental work afterwards. The reason I deadlift over 600 pounds at age 45. It's lazy training. It's lazy eating. They're lazy people who are looking for a cheat, some little trick, hoping that they can get away with just being lazy and not bothering to do anything right, and that they'll still make progress. If I just get my leucine threshold and I get my post-workout recovery shake and do my triple drop set on 37 different types of curls, I'll be jacked at 140 pounds. Okay, keep dreaming. The reality. Protein intake is sufficient. Timing doesn't matter that much. We can argue about how much it matters, but I've heard, again, my bro Alan Aragon, we've been friends well over a decade, my homie. We have discussed this before, and he'll tell you the same thing, and he's got an advanced degree in the field. He does actually even coach bodybuilders for prep, which is not my area. I don't like bodybuilding. You guys know that. And he'll tell you, look, the overwhelming data kind of says that optimal protein intake is going to be somewhere between 3 or 4 feedings a day spaced out. If you're doing that, he's like, if you're eating at least 3 protein feedings every day and you're hitting an optimal protein intake, you don't ever need to worry about it any further than that. That's it. Nothing else that you do is going to have any significant measurable difference. There's only hypothetical benefits that aren't even proven. Then if they did do anything, that they might be benefits too small to even measure. But we don't actually know because we can't measure them. Pretty much the way I've seen him break it down. Get at least three big protein meals a day spaced out. Hit your protein minimums. If you're in doubt, eat a little bit more. And it's that simple. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.